Hello and welcome back to the channel. And in this video, I'll be doing something a bit different from my previous videos where most of my content has been music centered. But in this video, I wanted to cover another topic that I do find very fascinating and something I want to see and get some feedback if you guys have interest in hearing more on this. But this video will be on spirituality and enlightenment. And so I wanted to dive into a Jim Carrey story because I think it's a very interesting and very public example of somebody who seems to be seeing the world through this different lens and is talking about it. And so I wanted to check out this video of Jim Carrey talking about it and then share some of my own thoughts on it. I actually haven't seen this video yet, so I'm not sure what he's going to talk about or what I'm going to talk about, but we're going to have fun with it. And we'll just start it from the beginning. Here we go.
There's no thing that isn't divine. Everything is divine, and I'm that. I'm not the body. I'm you guys, and I'm this thing, and I'm this thing. It's an ancient thing. There's still ego there, but I'm finding that ultimately the freedom from it is something people are kind of hungry for.
All right, I'll pause it there. So he starts off by saying, I'm this thing and I'm that thing. And what I've discovered through meditation is that we are awareness. And so he says, I'm not the body. And so through deep meditation or through direct inquiry or through various kinds of yogic methods, you can have this discovery that you are more than your body, that you're something more than even what you can see, because you are the place of seeing. You are the place that you see from. And when you realize that, it seems like something that's very obvious, like that you wouldn't even need to have that realization. That's why it feels like an unlearning process rather than a learning process, and why people may feel disappointed when they start on an Eastern spiritual path where there's nothing to do, nowhere to go, nothing to become. You are already it, and you're just learning that you're already it, that there's not some external validation that you need. And for me, this realization was really helpful with my depression because it just gave me a little bit of space between me and my thoughts, because I am not my thoughts, I am not my emotions, I'm not my body, I am life itself. I'm a field of consciousness that all of this stuff is showing up in. And if you think about it, you've never even seen or touched the outside world. You exist in this inner world. You are a projection inside of your brain of the senses gathering this information and projecting it on this mental theater. And when you realize that literally the world is within you, or the world is within your awareness, it's liberating. And there's this, like he's talking about, you see beyond the illusion of the ego is something that people will say. And it's just the simple realization that you were already something before you thought that you were something. You already existed before you learned your name and you learned to identify with this body that you were born into. And so, yeah, the spiritual path often sounds very brainy and maybe not exactly what, especially people coming from a Christian background, might expect. And so that jump from Western to Eastern religion has just certain different things that they tend to focus on. So, anyways, I'm going to keep going through it and commenting as we go.
You know what's really interesting with him? He's taken like a severe psychological and I guess philosophical turn. He must have had like some psychedelic experiences too. because he's just talking about like what matters and what doesn't matter. He's not talking like Jim Carrey, the world famous A-list actor who's had gigantic smash movies. He's not talking like that at all. He's like talking like some guy who's just trying to sort of understand his place in the universe.
Sometimes I think that's the only thing that's important, really, you know, is just letting each other know we're here, reminding each other that we're part of a larger self. I used to think Jim Carrey is all that I was, just a flickering light, a dancing shadow, the great nothing masquerading as something you can name. I used to believe that who I was ended at the edge of my skin, that I had been given this little vehicle called a body from which to experience creation. Then I learned that everything outside the vehicle was part of me too. Our eyes are not viewers, they are also projectors that are running a second story over the picture that we see in front of us all the time.
Let's take a headlight of a car. The headlight...
I know that voice. Sounds like it's switching over to some Alan Watts. I'm going to go back because I want to catch the beginning of that quote. I am a big Alan Watts fan. He is definitely one of the original voices that got me interested in Eastern spirituality. But yeah, I love this clip, and I love Joe Rogan talking about how Jim Carrey is this public voice that isn't talking about his ego like everybody else. It's not, oh, hi, I'm Jim Carrey. This is what Jim Carrey's up to. This is what Jim Carrey's accomplishing. He gets on there and says, what do we want? What are we after? This is what we're actually all looking for. And I have seen some really great interviews with George Harrison. I should react to some of his interviews too. That would be really fun to do. But he gets on TV and they're asking about, you know, the Beatles and all this stuff. And he kind of stops the interviewer and says, you know, what are you after? What are we really looking for? What's the point of all this? And takes the interview into this really deep philosophical conversation. And George Harrison had that kind of Eastern religious connection as well that I'll probably touch on in a future video. Here we go with some Alan Watts.
They're running a second story over the picture that we see in front of us all the time.
Let's take a headlight of a car. The headlight shines on the road in front. The headlight does not shine on the wire which connects it with its own battery. So in a way, the headlight is unaware of how it shines. And in the same way, we are unaware of the sources of our consciousness. You are something the whole universe is doing in the same way that a wave is something that the whole ocean is doing. Our real body is not just what's inside the skin, but our whole total external environment. And if you become aware of that unknown self, the more you become aware of it, the more you realize that it is inseparably connected with everything else that there is. And that vast thing that you see far off with telescopes, and you look and look and look, one day you're going to wake up and say, why, that's me. And in knowing that, know, you see, that you never die.
Ultimately, we're not the avatar.
Yep. So yeah, basically just another way of saying that we are pure awareness. And that very subtle shift in identity versus I am this body, because clearly the body will die and suffer and go through a lot of rough things. But awareness itself, which is what you really are, is untouchable in a way. And in connecting with your true self as pure awareness, you feel this sense of liberation from depression, anxiety, even the pains of the body. There have been studies that have shown that meditation, toe-to-toe with morphine is more effective. And so you can decrease physical pain through meditation and through mindfulness meditation specifically, which is this way of becoming the present moment. And like he was talking about in the video, of that distant star exists within your awareness, so you are one with it. And ultimately, you can't even prove that you're not dreaming at this moment, because if you were dreaming, then I would simply be a projection of your own consciousness. And you have no way of stepping out of your consciousness to look in and make sure that you're not dreaming. All you can do is wake up. And so that's what this process is. They call it waking up and realizing the true nature of how things really are.
As we create, we're not the pictures on the film stock. We are the light that shines through. All else is just smoke and mirrors, distracting, but not truly compelling. I've often said that I wish people could realize all their dreams in wealth and fame, and so that they could see that it's not where you're going to find your sense of completion. The imagination is always manufacturing scenarios, both good and bad, and the ego tries to keep you trapped in the multiplex of the mind. And if you listen to it, there will always be someone who's doing better than you. No matter what you gain, ego will not let you rest. It will tell you that you cannot stop until you've left an indelible mark on the earth, until you've achieved immortality.
It's been part of the evolution of ego is to spend your first half of your life acquiring and adding, thinking you can add to yourself, and it looks great. I mean, it looks great when you got a cool car and you got good, nice clothes and you've done something that people admire. It can never fulfill you. You can never be happy. It's not where happiness comes from.
Yeah, I like that. He said something like, you go around thinking that you can add to yourself. And so going back to your true nature, the part of you that hasn't aged since you were born until now, that consistent feeling of presence, that part of you can't be added to or subtracted from. It is total and complete. But the projections that exist within it, and those projections are what most people would call reality. And the closer you look at this reality, it starts to seem very weird, especially if you zoom out enough, then physics become completely different on a cosmic scale. And then if you zoom in enough, and you're talking about quantum physics on a very, very small scale, both sides of them don't fit into the human brain. And the fact that we exist at all, that something came from nothing, whether the original thing was God, or whether the original thing was the Big Bang, or some other source, whatever you want to call it, there was a miracle of some sort. And the fact that we exist at all does not work in our brains. And so we know that there's something beyond our mind, beyond our comprehension, that is going on. And it is happening every moment, and we're always here in the center of it. Oops.
And that there's no real you involved in the first place.
Like many of you, I was concerned about going out into the world and doing something bigger than myself, until someone smarter than myself made me realize that there is nothing bigger than myself. Relax and dream up a good life. I had a substitute teacher from Ireland in the second grade who told my class during morning prayer that when she wants something, anything at all, she prays for it and promises something in return, and she always gets what she wants. Well, I'm sitting in the back of the classroom, thinking, wow, my family can't afford a bike. So I went home and I prayed for one. And I promised I would recite the rosary every night in exchange. But 2 weeks later, I got home from school to find a brand new Mustang bike with a banana seat and Easy Rider handlebars. My My family informed me that I had won the bike in a raffle that a friend of mine had entered my name in without my knowledge whatsoever. So that type of thing has been happening to me ever since. As far as I can tell, it's just about letting the universe know what you want and working toward it while letting go of how it comes to pass. Your job is not to figure out how it's going to happen for you, but to open the door in your head. And when the door opens in real life, just walk through it. And when I say life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you, I really don't know if that's true. I'm just making a conscious choice to perceive challenges as something beneficial so that I can deal with them in the most productive way. You'll come up with your own style. That's part of the fun. You are ready and able to do beautiful things in this world. You will only ever have two choices, love or fear. Choose love, and don't ever let fear turn you against your playful heart.
The real you is not a puppet which life pushes around. The real deep down you is the whole universe.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.